Indiana students and teachers are preparing to head back to school. It will be the first full academic year since lawmakers passed legislation allowing schools to get state money to cover the cost of firearms training for teachers. As Clayton Baumgarth reports, the lawmaker who pushed for the new legislation says training teachers will ultimately save the state money because schools will need fewer safety resource officers.
Being a teacher in 2023 is a far cry from what it was when Roma Jean Bradburn retired from the Fort Wayne Community School System in 2001.
Parents today expect immediate response on how their child did on assignments and on tests. Immediate response. We used to be able to stack the tests up and get to them.
Technology, testing, funding, it's all different. Another big change is school safety. State lawmakers just approved House Bill 1177 in the spring. It creates an avenue for teachers to go through firearm training and have it paid for through the state's Secured School Safety Grant Program. That's a $23 million pot of money that pays for everything from school resource officers to metal detectors.
I don't believe there should be any guns in the schools, other than your security guards and your policemen that come in.
The identities of those who enroll, participate in, and complete the training are kept confidential. That makes it difficult to determine how many school corporations intend to participate in the state-funded training. But teachers are only eligible if their district allows them to carry firearms at school. For many, like Roma, the idea of arming teachers as an added form of security opens up a plethora of new questions. How would the weapon be stored? Would a teacher be compelled to leap into action in the event of an emergency? And would having a gun in class make everybody safer?
It wouldn't take much for anybody to overpower a teacher if they knew that you had a gun on you. And then if you didn't have it on you, it'd have to be locked up. It would have to be in a locked place, and most classrooms don't have very adequate places to lock things up.
Representative Jim Lucas of Seymour authored the bill. He says the goal of the legislation is to prevent an event like the Uvalde, Texas school shooting, where the shooter wasn't neutralized for nearly an hour and a half, from happening in Indiana.
During that time, how many lives could have been saved had any of those teachers or staff had the means and ability to defend themselves?
The training required by the bill in order to receive grant money was developed by Lucas with the help of law enforcement officials to cover the specific instance of an active shooter in a school environment, on top of the existing 40 hours of standard firearm training.
Teachers and staff that go through this training are, some could argue, better qualified than a freshman fresh out of the academy law enforcement officer.
And by his estimates, Lucas says that training teachers to use firearms is cheaper than hiring a safety resource officer.
A school resource officer, the average salary and benefits for an SRO in Indiana is about $65,000. For that 1 year salary, you can train approximately 40 teachers and staff. So your deterrent factor, you have magnified that by a factor of 40 right there.
Schools most likely to benefit from House Bill 1177 are those located in rural areas where law enforcement resources are spread thin. And according to the Indiana Small and Rural Schools Association, there are only, quote, 1 or 2 schools that allow teachers to carry a firearm on campus. One of those, Jay County School Corporation, responded to our request to interview with the following statement. At this time, we do not currently plan to send any teachers to training reimbursable by the school safety grant described in House Bill 1177. However, we will consider this new grant-funded program moving forward for future training needs. For Paul Farmer, a teacher and president of the Monroe County Education Association, there are better ways that state money could be reallocated.
They have a $2 billion surplus this past year. They're going to take that money and they're going to help pay for potentially teachers having handguns in the classroom. Most people, I think anyway, and me personally as an individual, is going to go, we could use this money better.
Specifically, Farmer says the money could help fund better mental health programming to prevent shootings in the first place.
I would like to see more, and I think the association and teachers would like to see more emphasis placed on help, the critical help that our students need today.
For Farmer and Roma Jean Bradburn, legislation like House Bill 1177 does little to make them feel safer in schools. In fact, for Roma, only one law will do that.
The only thing that will solve the problem is to ban assault rifles, automatic rifles and guns, anything that makes a gun automatic.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Clayton Baumgarth.
In addition to firearms training, schools can also use the funding in the event of a school shooting to pay for counseling for students, teachers, and other school employees.